Hello, gamers. Welcome to Grow Up, Level Up Gamers Club, the weekly podcast where we do reviews, previews, and discussions on the games you should be playing in your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. Today, I'm your host, SirDrJM, aka Jordan, and I'm here with a very special guest, Samson, of course. Samson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, that's good. Samson will be playing producer today, but of course also playing second chair as I believe he's feeling a little under the weather. So you're stuck with me hosting things for today. And with that, let's cue up the intro. Here it goes.
Okay, I clicked the button, but it didn't start. I had to actually click play.
My first time getting to say cue the intro, and it was okay. Well, we'll get there. Well, I'm happy to be in the host's chair today and take the reins. So I'll take us all on a bit of a ride. I mean, we've got a few things to cover here today. Of course, as you may have seen earlier in the week, Samson went live with the New York Game Awards, streaming those for about the first hour and a half. It's a long show. So
yeah, it was long. I think I did about an hour and a half before I had another commitment, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. I, of course, was in the chat there for a little less than you were. I did have to go. I was doing the whole dinner and bedtime thing, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, we've also had a Xbox Developer _Direct today, so we'll talk about everything going on in there. And hopefully we'll have a chance to talk a little bit about what we've been playing today. So with all of that said, I think we want to look at the New York Game Awards first. So first of all, I mean, shout out to Ryan for hooking us up with a tweet where Grow Up Level Up got to be in the big leagues for a minute there with the IGNs and the GameSpots. Of course, that was exciting. Hey,
yeah, that was cool. I didn't expect them to do that. Ryan reached out to me, Ryan O'Callahan at Mr. OC on all the socials there. He reached out to me saying like, "Hey, do you want to come co-stream this with us?" And I was like, "Oh, of course, I'll support it." It was a time that I could make work. It was after work, so I was going to stream it for a bit. Didn't know how long it was and all that, but I have been watching what they're doing at NYVGCC, the New York Video Games Critics Circle, for a while, and cool stuff. Oh, and also Ryan was a guest on Grow Up Level Up.
That's right.
More than a year ago now. Like, that's how fast time flies.
Yeah.
But he asked me to co-stream. I like that kind of stuff, so I did. And it was a cool event. It was I caught a little bit of it last year, but this year I actually watched. And it was, yeah, overall a really cool, chill event. Like, very I said this on the stream, but you know how the normal, or quote unquote the bigger game awards that happen in December, Jeff Keighley's, that's like more of a show, more of a production.
Yeah.
This one felt there was a production to it, but it felt a lot more, and I don't know if homemade is the right word, but it felt a lot more genuine.
Intimate.
Yeah, intimate. Yeah, that's a good word. Like genuine's not the right word, because I'm sure everybody is cares about their craft. But yeah, intimate. It was like sitting at a school assembly, and you were just watching people come up, and definitely cool people too. Reggie was there. Reggie Fils-Aimé, former president of Nintendo, and he's involved in what they do at NYVGCC. So it was cool to learn a little bit more about their organization, and see all the awards along the way as well. No world premieres or anything like that. Although I think there were some announcements, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I definitely felt the same. And I mean, you can tell just, from the production side of things, obviously, they're not doing it at whatever the heck the theater is that Jeff Keighley does his at, the
Peacock.
Is it Microsoft Theater or something like that?
No, it's like a place. Oh, maybe it's. I think it's the Peacock. I may be wrong, but
sure.
It's like in a place in LA where there's like crypto arenas on one side. All the studios are in the same place. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it obviously very cool, but very different scale kind of thing. And this one does feel a lot more intimate, like we said, and kind of really has that. I don't think it's inaccurate to say that kind of more of a homely feel. You've got your presenters and they walk up on stage, but the stage isn't this, magnificent glass thing that they've got a sweeping boom to bring the camera in and everything, right? So it was neat to see, that's for sure. Something else that I actually found neat that actually you kind of brought up at the top of, well, before the show, was some of the categories. They really tie these into New York, which I thought was very cool. Obviously, something like a Jeff Keighley's Game Awards can't really do that because, it's not necessarily associated with a geographical location or anything like that. It's more, I don't know, just, I don't want to say generic because that sounds insulting, but in some ways it is. Yeah, exactly.
Very, yeah.
So, but I'll just shout out a couple of categories here. Of course, they had Chumley's Speakeasy Award for Best Hidden Gem, which, like, on top of having that sort of tie to New York, just a really cool category. I would love to see something like that on the, again, on Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. The winner of that category, of course, was mouthwashing, which I think totally makes sense. The other nominees were Ultros, Vampire Therapist, Lamasoft, The Jeff Minter Story, Mars After Midnight, and Starstruck Hands of Time. Mouthwashing is the only one from that list that I know. But you could definitely see something like Mouthwashing garnering enough attention to win that kind of category, at any awards show. So
my favorite name for the award is the A-Train Award, which I assume is what they call their subway. Yeah. And A-Train Award for the best mobile game. That is exactly where you would be playing a game on your phone. So cool theming. Really love that. Yeah.
Totally. I love that. A couple other ones here. I'll just shout out Central Park Children's Zoo Award. And it's, best kids game. But, of course, the winner was Astrobot, of course. Coney Island Dreamland Award for best AR VR game. So, Coney Island is, of course, known for being sort of a fair, like a carnival fair. Anyways. And, of course, it's AR VR, right? Just totally makes sense. So, yeah, there's a Statue of Liberty Award for best world. Again, just a few categories here that I really perked my ears up and I think in a lot of ways helps to differentiate something like this from the TGA's or Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, as we keep calling it. I don't know if he's actually got his name on the official naming of it, but it's just easiest to call it that.
So, no. I'm sure one day it'll become like the Oscars or the Grammys where you just have his name as the award, but it's probably a couple decades to be, but
the Keighley's.
Yeah. The Keighley's, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, cool. What did you think of the Big Apple Award for the best game of the year at the New York Game Awards?
Well, first of all, I'll just highlight the nominees. Of course, we had EA Sports College Football 25, Metaphor Refantasio, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, 1,000 Times Resist, UFO 50, Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Balatro. So, overall nominees, a pretty great list. I do think you see some of that, smaller scale nominations coming through here, of course, with things like 1,000 Times Resist and UFO 50, although they certainly garnered a lot of attention in the wider games world. You don't see them on a Keighley's Game Awards Best Game of the Year list. But of course, the winner was Astrobot. I can't argue with that.
Woohoo!
That's right.
Yeah. Did you see the little comment that kind of went viral online? Some outlets covered it.
No, I don't think I did.
It was basically Reggie saying Astrobot almost beat us at making a better Mario game.
Oh.
Or beat Nintendo at making a better Mario game. Almost.
But
I heard him say that live and I went, ooh, that's a spicy clip right there. And lo and behold, everyone else clipped it out the next day.
Picked it up and ran with it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. It was a really good show.
Yeah.
It was, like we said, genuine, intimate. And I think one thing that as it was happening, and I was like, oh, of course this is happening, is that they talked a lot about what their organization does. So Ryan's organization, he's the executive director at the New York Video Games Critics Circle, which is actually a nonprofit that has like writers, mentors that go to communities with underserved youth and teach them how to write for video games, how to write around video games, like journalism, stuff like narratives and narrative design. Like that is what this organization does. And it's a nonprofit. And this award is kind of like a celebration of that, like including the Journalist Award, which I believe was the I got Knickerbocker Award. I'm not sure what a Knickerbocker
I was
is.
going to say that must be a New York thing, right? Let me.
Yeah, for Best Games Journalism, shout out to Duncan Fife, Alexis Ong, Grant Stoner, Mason Andrew Hamberlin, Edwin Evans Thurwell, and the winners Simone de I apologize Rochefort and Clayton Ashley for winning. And yeah, they have a category for writing, for journalism. And I think that's just a reflection of what they do as an organization, is to teach and to expand this writing thing. Because like kids, like reading for kids is always it could be a challenge sometimes, but how do we tie it in to video games and make it interesting for them? And like Reggie, like I said earlier, Reggie Fils-Aimé wasn't just doing a little cameo or anything. He's quite involved in this initiative. So I think it's really cool and honorable what they do, coming from an education background as well.
Absolutely. They really embrace the sort of, I mean, we talked about it a bit, but the spirit of New York in these awards. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think Reggie is actually from the Bronx as well. So
yes,
I think he said that at the top of the show. A knickerbocker can refer to a style of pants that are baggy around the knees and fastened with a button or buckle. Also often referred to as knickers, of course. But it is also used as a nickname for a New Yorker who can trace their ancestry to Dutch settlers of the 1600s. So there you go.
That's really
it's
cool.
Also a hotel. But anyways,
they're just capitalizing on the first two things.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Basically used to refer to New Yorkers a lot of the time. So,
Gotcha.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So
love what they do. Love what they do there. And can't wait to hear more. I hope they get the support. The New York New York Video Game Critics Circle. And their website is nygamecritics.com. So thanks again to Ryan for inviting us onto the co-stream. And putting us on the same line as IGN and GameStop and the Iron Lords podcast. So that was really cool.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, shout out to any of you listeners who jumped in the chat. Of course, we had a few people stop by. Did Ryan stop by at the start, kind of thing?
No, he was probably busy running the show. But
that's what I was thinking.
Briggsy stopped by for a bit.
That's right.
Shout out to Briggsy. Thanks for coming in.
And a few others. So, anyways, shout out to you if you were in the chat there in the comments. I saw you. I'm sure Samson did as well. Of course, he was, on air. I was just in the chat, so I was watching both. I had YouTube up on one screen and Twitch on the other, so I could keep an eye on both chats. So, anyways.
Yep. And side note, that was our first time streaming Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and that kind of worked. So maybe we'll do that more in the future. I literally made the Twitch account that day, and I was like,
fair enough.
It lets me.
Fair enough. I have my own Twitch account that I haven't used in a while, but I always like making the overlays and stuff like that. It's fun to play with. So, anyways, more to come in the future, hopefully. Well, other than that, I mean, the big news of the day was, of course, the Xbox Developer _Direct. Now, before we get into this, Samson, I have to ask you, what's your opinion on the underscore in the name of this?
Do you remember, this is almost 20 years ago at this point.
Wow.
When the internet first came to be in our homes.
Yes.
There was a cool way to hide your IMs from family and your secret text messages on your T9 on your phone, and it was called Leet Speak. Where you would replace your E's with 3s and your 7s with T's, right? So that underscore in the middle of that just reminds me of being cool and edgy in the mid 2000s. But yeah, it is what it is, and I guess it makes us say it more, which helps with marketing. So yeah,
I mean, the funny thing is, I truly don't think Xbox or Microsoft intended that. I think what they were going for, and of course, if you go to news.xbox.com, the Xbox Wire, you can pull up their recap of the Xbox Developer _Direct. But if you look at the graphic they've got there, I really think it's meant to more so highlight that we are going to hear from the developers. They are programmers. They build the game, and underscores are frequently used in code, right? To me, that's what it says. I did go to school for programming, actually, so Maybe that's why, but I get a kick out of it every time someone says developer_direct, because most of the time I don't know, if you're programming, you're talking about a variable, you're not going to read the underscore, but anyways, it doesn't matter. So of course, we kicked things off knowing there was going to be a secret and 3 other games. Of course, those 3 games are Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Claire, where is it? Claire Obscur Expedition 33, and then the mystery game. Now, because of that, I'd like to toss it over to you. Where do you want to start?
I'd like to start at the beginning. I'd like to start with Ninja Gaiden 4.
Okay, so they actually kicked things off with the secret announcement, and I actually kind of liked this. I thought it was good that you didn't expect it to be the first thing, but then they really popped with that announcement. So that was the secret item, was Ninja Gaiden 4, of course, launching fall 2025 for the Xbox Series X, PC, Steam, Cloud, PlayStation 5, and of course, play it day one with Game Pass. So, Samson, please, do you have any history with Ninja Gaiden that you'd like to talk about here?
It's kind of funny because my only Ninja Gaiden game I played was the one on DS where you held it vertically like a book. I don't know if that's a deep cut or anything. I definitely played the heck out of that.
I can't say I'm familiar with it. So
okay, let me find the name of it. It was called Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword, and your little sword was probably your little stylus.
Oh, good one. Oh my God. What a time to be alive. The DS. That's amazing. Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword.
Yeah,
I gotta see this.
Let me try to pull up a video here. But that was the only Ninja Gaiden game I played. I wasn't allowed to play I didn't have an Xbox 360 because that's where all the edgy games were, right? Actually. And I didn't have here's pull up this old IGN review. If you're watching the video or listening on podcast, I pulled up a IGN review of the Ninja Gaiden game on DS.
Performance is top notch.
I mean, this looks pretty good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, Craig Harris dressed up as a ninja.
This game I played is the only Ninja Gaiden game I played at DS because I had a DS, wasn't allowed to have a 360 or a PS2 or 3. So I was able to sneakily buy this one. I don't even think it was rated teen. That's why I was able to get it. But the way you play this game is it's one of the games where you hold the DS vertical, so like on its side, not the way it's supposed to be held, so like a book. And then that if you hold it that way, then your right hand will be free to, if you're right-handed, use the stylus on the touchscreen the whole time. And the entire game is played with like dragging your stylus as a joystick kind of, or I think you can tap to go places, and then to attack you would just slash over the enemies, and that's how you do your combos depending on what kind of like slash or draw you do. And then there's also and then it's just Ninja Gaiden. You just do your attacks that way. I think there was something, I'm just scrubbing the video here. I think there was something to do with like drawing certain symbols to do combos or whatever. But
and of course, on the left screen or the top screen, if you're holding it, the DS normally is simply a mini map. It looks like.
Yep. It was just the mini map. Okay. They had to put something there, I guess. But I think like this is one of the nicer looking DS games, and I learned this later, but the way they made it look like super 3D and all that is that they borrowed a technique from, I think it's either the original or second Resident Evil, where the background's actually just a static image and your character runs through it, and the character and the enemies are 3D, but you're just running through a static image that your character just hides the environment that way. So that was really cool.
Very interesting.
So that's just a long way to say that was the only Ninja Gaiden game I played.
Now, you did mention when you first started talking about that, you said this is one of the games where you turn the DS vertically. Are you familiar with any others? Because this is the first time I've heard of this.
So there's Brain Age. I don't know if you remember Brain Age.
Yeah, actually good point.
And similarly, Big Brain Academy, I think also ripped that off, did the same thing. And the other one I think was one of the Mario RPGs. It was Bowser's Inside Story, I think, where at certain times, Bowser would become really big, or Luigi would become really big, and that's when you turn it to its side to get the IMAX scaled top to bottom screen, and you'd run. Yeah, I think there was a few. There was a few like that.
All right, fair enough. I really expected you not to be able to pull any out of your hat, so good job. You bested me on your DS knowledge. I definitely am not too familiar with the DS catalog. So
that was where I spent most of my youth, between those two screens.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so Ninja Gaiden 4
launching this fall.
Was the game that I was most surprised by, hyped by, because it looks so cool. At the same time, it's the combos he does, and I don't know. I was just like, oh yeah, that is Ninja Gaiden. I recognized a lot of the combos and the style of it, and this sci-fi setting with all the mythical stuff in the environments. Just looks cool. It just oozes cool, and not in a I almost said gross, but not in the visceral Devil May Cry kind of way. This is like I think closer to I don't know, like a cyberpunk, I would guess. The setting, at least.
I think they made a really good call going with this sort of Neo Tokyo style. Seems like that will be maybe the majority, if not maybe 50% of the game. But then, of course, they also highlighted that you will go sort of, not sure if it'll be flashbacks or time travel or what, but you'll go back in time to sort of a more traditional Japanese setting with the traditional protagonist of the series, Ryu Hayabusa. I believe that's his name. So, very interesting and looks cool. Like you said, just oozes style. I think they made the right call going with this, again, Neo Tokyo kind of style. Obviously very, very popular nowadays, thanks to things like Cyberpunk. And I mean, this has always looked cool. It's,
it's true. Now we got that Unreal Engine 5 to get the ray tracing, and can't wait to have this not run on my PC at all. Time for an upgrade. I don't know. I can't afford it right now. These new 5090 graphics cards.
Yeah, right. It'll look great at a steady 30 frames per second on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, I'm sure. So
exactly.
Anyways, that is launching this fall. Very exciting there. And of course, as a nice little bonus to get you in the mood, they also announced Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, available today, right now. In fact, right when they announced it, it was available for the Xbox Series S, PC, and of course, play it day one with Game Pass. So a bit of a throwback there. I actually, when this popped up, I wasn't sure if this was the one Ninja Gaiden I've played. Turns out it's not. The one that I have played was Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I think it was called maybe 3 Sigma. It was on the 360 and PS3, and I actually only played the demo of it back in the good old days when most games had a demo come out and you could just download it. And I remember enjoying it, but not really getting it. I remember dying quickly, but never being able to tell why I died. Or how I died, and just being like, okay, well, that was neat, and it was bloody, and you're a ninja, so that's neat. But at the time, I had no idea there was this legacy behind Ninja Gaiden. Of course, Ninja Gaiden is a very old franchise. So, do you have any thoughts on Ninja Gaiden 2 Black?
I have a question for you. Actually, with Ninja Gaiden, do you think you didn't get it back then was because of? I think about this all the time. That's why I asked. Is it like we were too young? Our brains weren't developed enough to enjoy it, to be good at it. You ever think about things that way? Or is it just me?
When I was the age that I was playing this, I would have been like maybe 14, 15-ish. So I do think my brain was developed to know what I did like, I don't think my brain was developed enough to think about things in a critical way. So I don't think I was thinking about it like, this is an action, I don't know what to describe it as, an action hack and slash
action game,
kind of.
Or is it an adventure game?
Exactly. I wasn't thinking about things in those terms. I was just willing to try anything, right? And I tried it, and I was like, that was neat, but ultimately I'm not going to spend $60 on it or whatever.
Right. No game.
And I just kind of moved on, right? But at the same time, like, man, if I could have my original PS3 fat my 60 gig PS3 FAT, I would love to go through the history of the demos that I played. Because, like, you know, with endless amounts of time in high school, I downloaded every game demo I could. Does anyone remember Critter Crunch? Because I played the hell out of Critter Crunch, and it was free on PlayStation Plus. And actually, who made it? It's actually a pretty well-known developer now.
That's
Critter
a deep. That's a deeper cut than Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword.
Developer.
Gotta say.
This was developed by Capybara.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
one of their first games, I think. So, yeah. Anyways,
good for them. Big things to come from Critter Crunch.
That's right. All the way from Critter Crunch. Of course, they've made Grindstone, Super Time Force Ultra, and a handful of other things. So,
yeah. For me, I'm definitely going to try this new one or this old new one.
The new old one, yeah, got it.
The new old one. I think it's a good taste to be like, do I actually like this kind of game?
Right.
And if I do, then I'm really excited for the one coming in the fall. But I'm also a big fan of Platinum games, so
yeah,
might just pick it up anyways and try it out. Game Pass makes it easy, so
absolutely. And I mean, if you know, just taking a step back to Ninja Gaiden 4, also some people pronounce it Ninja Gaiden. I believe those are people who actually speak Japanese. If I'm not mistaken, Jared Petty pronounces it Ninja Gaiden, but it feels very foreign for my mouth to say. So, anyways,
that does make sense. Yes.
When they first showed it off, and of course it revealed it was Platinum, I immediately flash back to such a very Platinum game that everyone loves. That was critically loved highly.
Bayonetta.
No. It was more like you're in like kind of a mech suit, but like a more of an Iron Man suit than anything.
Oh, the Metal Gear one?
No, not
Metal
Revengeance. You weren't not.
Oh,
Raiden.
I know what you're talking about. It's the guy who's in a white suit.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm Googling Platinum guy, and I know the listeners probably
Vanquish.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry.
Probably yelling at the screen at us like, it's Vanquish.
And of course, Vanquish, another one that I played the demo for back in the day on the PS3 and Xbox 360 demo days. But that game was a lot of fun, and I think critically pretty well received, but I don't think it sold too well or anything. But when they first showed one of the first images of Ninja Gaiden 4 and the new protagonist, I believe, whose name is Yakumo, there was a shot of him doing something, and just the colors and everything immediately made me think of that, of Vanquish, and I was like, ooh, people are going to love this. So anyways.
I'm into it.
Yeah, so back-to-back hits with the Ninja Gaiden announcements. Where do you want to take us next, Samson?
Oh.
We've got Doom, we've got Claire Obscur, and we've got South of Midnight.
I'll just keep it on the Samson hype train. Let's go to the Expedition 33. Let's hop on that expedition.
So also shown off here, of course, this is one of the ones we knew about. Ninja Gaidens were the only secret ones. They showed off Claire Obscur Expedition 33, which of course was announced a while back. I don't recall when. Launching April 24th for the Xbox Series X and S, PC, and of course, play it day one with Game Pass. This was definitely the biggest showing of this game we've had, and I think it did a really good job to show off just how wide this game is. I mean, you know, it's so easy to say this about so many games, but like the first thing that is very apparent about this game is just oozing with style, right? For those watching the video feed right now, Samson is playing the trailer or some of what they showed off today. And my goodness, they put a lot of care and love into crafting a world that has what it looks like it has a ton of lore to it and a ton of backstory and history. And they really kind of tie all the elements in together, taking a lot of inspiration from, I think, games like Persona in the turn-based combat style, but where everything from the UI to the combat to the interactions all have this very distinct flavor that fits the whole theme of the game and everything. And they talked a lot about that. Of course, they went, you know, developer to developer on this game, and had each of them kind of talk about their area of expertise. So what were your thoughts on Claire Obscur Expedition 33?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because this is my most hyped game out of this this showcase here.
All right.
I've been interested in it since they last revealed it. I think it was last summer or whatever. But the combat, I'm always like that style of turn-based combat, but you have to interact in the middle of it. I'm a big fan of that. I like Paper Mario because of that.
Right.
Still haven't finished Thousand Year Door yet. I tried to get into Persona because of that, but I think Persona had other stuff that I wasn't into.
Okay.
So like this seems a lot more like I don't know if straightforward's the right word, but they are showcasing a lot of that. So it seems like that is the main focus. Plus the story is interesting, and the enemy and the world, of course, is very unique. And I know I like to call this type of art stinky. You know, the Elden Ring. Like, look, everyone's so dirty. Okay, nobody's showered.
Why she got mud on her face all the time?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. There's enough magic and sparkle that I'm kind of looking forward to this. I want to talk a little bit about the story.
Of course.
For those who don't know, the story is that there's this big thing in the middle, and every year the painter lady makes the number go lower and lower, and anybody that is at that number will die or disappear.
Was it lower and lower? I thought it was just a random number. They may have said one or the other, and I missed it.
I thought it was lower and lower.
Oh, okay.
It like started high and then it got to 34 and now it's at 33.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the story is that these ragtag group of youths are trying. The old youths, they're probably all in their like 20s or 30s.
I just realized I turned 33 this year.
Oh,
that means I'm about to get snapped in the Claire Obscura. Yeah,
that's you probably.
That's me. You're right. He has a mustache. I have a mustache.
Oh my gosh! And a British accent. You could probably start one.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'll pull out a British accent later.
By the time you start the expedition, you have to have it ready.
That's right.
If you knocked 15, 20 years off that number, this could be a young adult, high fantasy kind
novel.
of novel. Yeah, adapted into a movie 2-3 years later kind of thing. So
you're right.
So it's interesting that they chose that number. I wonder if there's a bigger significance behind that later. But yeah, this just seems like the right amount of story and world and gameplay that I'm looking forward to playing this. And I heard it's not even going to be a full price game. I heard it's like a $40 American. So here would be about 60 Canadian.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yep, I heard the same.
Spectacle. Yeah.
And I believe one of the developers after or during the developer direct tweeted that you can expect it to be somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 30 hours, which usually developers will say their games are, slightly longer than they actually are. So, maybe around the range of 20, which is kind of a sweet spot, if you ask me. Of course, this is someone who's just reached the 20-hour mark in Metaphor, and I'm enjoying it, but I am already being like, man, am I going to make it? Am I going to be able to do this? But we'll see. So
yeah. I think that is a sweet spot for me as well. Forget what the last game I played was, but I was checking the clock on my Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, and I'm about to hit 30 hours, and I'm like, oh man, okay.
Yeah, it can drag.
It's a little long. So anything under that is manageable.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, totally agree with everything you say. This is, for me, again, endless time in the world, endless, money in the world. I would absolutely play this. I can look at a game like this and say I'm probably not going to play it. But I do look forward to watching someone stream the entire game. I'm a big fan of finding my favorite streamer, and they do a playthrough of a game and throw it up on YouTube, and I'll just watch the entire game. And then I tell people that I've played it, but really I've just watched people play it. But
one of those.
Yeah, I just finished doing that with the original Half-Life, although technically the Black Mesa version of it. But anyways, shout out to Snowbike Mike for his playthrough on YouTube. But yeah, that's Claire Obscur Expedition 33. The only gripe I have with this game, I don't know the significance of Claire Obscur. I want to add an A to the end of the word obscure. It just feels like it should be Claire Obscura for some reason every time I say it. So anyways, I'm sure people will just call it Expedition 33. So
is it like a French thing? Because I
think it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Eiffel Tower.
I believe the game does take place in 19th century France. You do see the Eiffel Tower kind of warped in there, which is cool. But
I got it. Claire Obscur is a French word that translates to half light in English. It can refer to the artistic use of light and dark in a painting.
Okay, so we got some painterly themes going on here. And of course, if you watch the video, you will also see there's some very paintbrush-esque creatures running around. I don't know what to call them. They almost look like I don't know. They're like totem poles come to life, but with their hair looks very reminiscent of a paintbrush. So
yeah, they look crafty.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see Sackboy. Crossover potential.
Reach.
Okay.
I mean, anything's possible.
Craftworld. He comes from Craftworld. Okay. All right. Well, those are your two big ones.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to take the reins here, and we'll jump down to South of Midnight next. Which to me, South of Midnight is the one of these games that just really speaks to me. This is the kind of game that, were it on PlayStation platforms, I'd be all over this. It's got the narrative element going to it. It's got the sort of action adventure-ish, although I think they've already said, this game is mostly telling a story, but we've seen some combat, we've seen some boss fights and things like that. But this one really speaks to me. I love the art style. And I also am a big fan of, I think this came through with Claire Obscur too, but creating a world that we haven't really seen before. I do think the setting of Claire Obscur is really neat because it's kind of that alternate France. Of course, France not a location that we've seen in a ton of games. And this one...
France is a real location, yes.
Yeah, indeed. And this one, of course, South of Midnight, taking place in the Deep South. Developed by Compulsion Games. We got to see more of the story about the main character. Her name is Hazel. And the description here says, we learned more about the journey of Hazel, the game's protagonist, which leads her into a darkly magical world where she discovers her new abilities as a weaver. So lots of folklore from the Deep South coming into play here. And again, just I love those characters and these kind of monsters that we're seeing in this game. So what do you think of South of Midnight?
Consider me piqued when you said my interest piqued. I mean, when you said it was more of a linear story, I was like, oh, okay, it's not an open world kind of thing. Okay, yeah, that actually hooked me in a little more because I don't know if I wanted. I think it was Forspoken. This reminds me of like the similar protagonist and fantastical isekai world kind of setting. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of what I. So for some reason, for those reasons, I assumed it was open world.
No, I get it.
Said it was more like a linear story. I'm like, oh, okay, I could go for like a story game.
Yeah.
Almost like an animation.
Yeah.
Who's that? Guillermo del Toro kind of animation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that obviously is very striking when you watch this, like I said, I mean, it's practically not even a compliment anymore to say this game looks amazing because most games nowadays look amazing. This art style really speaks to me, but the sort of one of the things that they do to set it apart is a lot of the characters or enemies have this effect to them where I believe they actually are animated at a lesser frame rate. So they look a little bit more storybook-like or a little bit more almost stop motion-like. And I just think it's really striking. This game has kind of I do almost want to say like a Coraline look to a lot of the characters and villains and things like that. And that really draws me in. But I get the parallel between Forspoken. That was Square Enix, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe 2 years ago. 2023, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, consider me interested now. I will give this a try.
Fair enough.
Was this coming to PlayStation?
This is not on PlayStation. That's why I say it.
Oh,
there's a
interesting.
As much as I'd love to play it, I don't know if I will. But again, I actually do have a PC now that could run it. And I mean, hey, if I pay $20 for 1 month of Game Pass and I play this game, hey, I'm better for it. So
you go, or you can try the game streaming, xCloud.
Yes, true.
Yeah, try it on your TV.
Point. It's a great point. So
one of those Samsung smart TVs you can connect your controller to.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I know that you can use PS5 controllers on most devices nowadays anyways. So.
Oh, also true. Yeah, of course.
Cool.
I'm into it. Yeah, you sold me on it.
Good.
With your one line.
I'm thrilled to hear that. And what has Compulsion Games made otherwise? I'm trying to remember.
It is.
Have they made anything?
Oh, Is it one of
Compulsion Games.
the developers that Xbox kind of made as they took over?
I did think that. However, it says they were actually founded in 2009. They worked on a number of other game projects with THQ and Atari. Canadian Game Awards, something. Oh, We Happy Few. That's what it was.
Right.
They made We Happy Few back in around 2015, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm just looking here, in 2018, they were acquired by Microsoft. So
interesting.
It's been a number of years, obviously, since they've put anything out.
It's been a while, actually, yeah.
But I'm hopeful that South of Midnight has the juice. So
cool. I'm into it.
Go ahead.
Shout out to the studio being based out of Montreal.
Yes.
Canadian studio.
Absolute. And that brings us to the final showing of the Xbox Developer _Direct, which of course was Doom: The Dark Ages. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, they kind of, I don't want to say saved the best for last, but they saved probably the one that appeals to the most people for last, the most, well-known of what they showed here. Obviously, we don't need to talk about the history of Doom because Doom is a big deal. But the latest entry in the modern day Doom franchise, I'll say, of course, started with the Doom 2016 and then Doom Eternal, which came out in 2018, I believe. Maybe.
I want to say a little before
Doom Eternal release date.
Oh, 2020.
2020. Okay. So 4 years and, 5 years since then.
Yeah. Wow.
But by all means, this one seems like they took a lot of the criticism that they may have heard about Doom Eternal and brought it back in line with what the people want to see. What were your thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages showing today?
I want to really like these Doom games, but
okay.
I've tried the 2016 one.
Sure.
I didn't really grow up with Doom as well, but I tried the 2016 one, played about a quarter of it, and then kind of fell off. I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again. And then I played Eternal, and there was a cool story, so I got maybe halfway through, and then kind of fell off of that. So I don't even know what my issue with these games is, because they are like very much power fantasies with cool sets and enemies and like not no story, but a serviceable story.
Right.
So I really want to like these games. And watching this trailer, they highlighted a couple things. There's like a giant mech. I guess you're riding on a cool vehicle now. But there's like a parry system and different weapons you can use. And, all that interests me.
Right.
I just don't know. Like, maybe I need to crank these to easy to really get that power level feeling. But this hits all the marks for me in terms of like fantasy and interest and and just cool gaming shit.
Right on.
So I'm hoping this one hits. I'll try it because it's on Game Pass. I'll give it a fair shake. I'm hoping it hooks me is the thing. Like,
no doubt.
Yeah, it's always tough to play a game that feels like a chore.
Oh, I mean, why bother? Who's got the time, right?
It's, true. We only have 5 to 9.
Exactly.
Usually less.
Exactly. I mean, Doom for me, actually, I dropped a link in the chat there. If you don't mind pulling that up, you can share that to the screen in a sec here, producer Samson. Doom for me, it's actually funny. I don't have much of a lineage with Doom. However, I do remember my dad playing Doom when I was very young, and it being like the kind of game where like he showed it to me, but like I think at the time, like even he was a little bit like, I probably shouldn't be showing this to my like 5 or 6 year old. So what I just sent Samson to pull up on the screen for you audio listeners is one of my very first Blue Sky posts.
Your skeets.
In my skeet, where I said, today I found my dad's copy of Doom on floppy in my basement. And it is, of course, a picture of the 2 floppy disks for Doom, the original. And it's got the original packaging, a nice little cardboard sleeve that these 2 floppies came in. And it says, there's no turning back now. Survive this monstrous holocaust and escape from Doom.
Holocaust.
I know, what a word, hey. The funny thing is, the floppies are so like, it's clear that we just weren't there yet when it came to producing these things, because the floppies have this weird like wizard on them that is
I
like
was
has
gonna ask
nothing to
about
do
that.
with Doom or anything.
I was gonna
And it
ask about
says
that.
the computer software store on them. Like maybe this is actually technically a bootleg copy, but they had the sleeve and they stuck it in. I don't know what the story is here, but I would believe that that's what they actually came in, because at the time, like people didn't really know, you know, hey, you stick this thing in your PC and what happens from there, right? So,
True.
anyways, so I have like the loosest of ties to Doom. I have not played any of the modern entries in Doom. They always look cool, but the funny thing was, I'm a big fan of the Ratchet and Clank series. I've played and thoroughly enjoyed just about every single one of their games. And with rare exception, I usually platinum them as well. Recently, every now and then you just get the hankering for that style game. And the thing that really draws me to those games is a plethora of weapons and ways to blow shit up. And watching Doom, I was kind of like, does this scratch that itch? Because, of course, one of the highlights of the trailer, they go through, hey, you know, we've got this new shield mechanic so you can block, like that's cool. We've got 3 new melee style weapons you can use. But then, of course, they have this montage where they just show, you know, the characters cycling through different weapons. You've got, you know, a shoddy. You've got, of course, the weapon they showed before where it actually grinds up a skull and shoots chips of the skull out. They've got rocket launchers. They've got all sorts of ways to blow up these enemies. And I just was watching this like, does this scratch that itch? Am I into Doom now? So anyways, I'm a sucker for different ways to kill things, especially with big explosions and colorful weapons. So, yeah, I would say, like you said about South of Midnight, you know, color me interested, color me piqued, color me purple or red or orange, whatever color you want to pick from the.
And there's a lot of colors in that Doom game. Yeah,
that's
for
right.
Sure. So you haven't played the other two, the 2016 and 2021.
I have not, and I think for me a part of it has always been the first person nature of it, right? To me, I usually play first person more for competitive, right? And that comes back to Call of Duty. I always played through the campaigns, but really the draw was the PvP, and then of course, you know, Overwatch. I don't need to really talk about Overwatch. We all know I like Overwatch, so. So anyways, it's always been more of a competitive thing, and you know, it's not to say there aren't good first-person shooter stories in games, but just it isn't typically something that I'm really drawn to. I usually go for action adventure, that kind of thing. So
amazing. Yeah. Maybe that's my thing with it. Now that you mention it, it's like I associate first person more with competitive stuff. So when I'm playing against, well, more or less a bunch of bots, even though I still lose. I'm not good at Doom. I'm not implying that. Maybe it just doesn't have the same same feeling, same experiences playing against other people in first person.
Yeah.
So well, we have
enough.
2 new interests peaked today in this podcast.
That's right. Well, all right. So Samson, I mean, what scale do you want to use here? Do you want to grade this thing on a scale of A to F, or a 1 to 5, 1 to 10? Or do you want to just say if you liked it?
Yeah. Like, I always found it funny that we have to do a little scale.
Well, that's
give
why
it a grade.
We don't have to.
not we. I mean, like other podcasts and people on the internet. But yeah, I'd say I like this direct. I was I was watching this at work, and then I had to take a call midway, and I was like, oh, but I really want to keep watching. I think that's a sign that it was pulling me in and it was hooking me in for the whole direct. Yeah. What about you, Jordan?
No, I definitely agree. It really made me want for a PlayStation flavor of developer _direct, where they can really kind of show off some of their games that are coming in unannounced, because Lord knows the past few things they've unveiled, you know, they're not showing their heavy hitters right now. And I get it. They don't need to. But, you know, for that dedicated kind of hardcore audience that is watching these kind of shows, you know, I'd love to see the next big thing. Obviously, we just got Intro Galactic from Naughty Dog shown off. But other than that and Ghost of Yote, we don't really know about any big first-party stuff. And, hey, the dominoes might be falling for Xbox, right? They might have some some big hitters on their hands.
And we don't even need to buy an Xbox to play the games.
Ain't that the truth?
Just do a little bit of Game Pass once in a while.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope PlayStation does like a deep dive kind of style one day. That would be nice, but also, yeah, they're like you said, they're at their top, so they don't need to. Need to.
It is funny for me as a lifelong PlayStation fan who lived through the dark ages of the PS3, right? I really took it for granted how at that time, we really were feasting during the PS3 generation. Not necessarily at the very beginning when, developers were learning games and most third-party developers did not understand the PS3 and it, the performance sucked and everything. I was too dumb and young to know that, so it didn't matter to me. I was just playing games with a crappy frame rate and not realizing that life could be better.
Life was so simple.
But when it came to the first-party stuff, it was just dropping bomb after bomb, and I mean that in a good way. Dropping mic after mic, I guess I'll say. That's a better way to put it. And you always knew what was coming next month, and you always knew the next first-party thing that you were excited for and everything. And they carried that obviously into the PS4, where they kind of really re-solidified, I think, that fan base. But since then, I think, they've largely been on top of the console market, and they just don't need to tell us, before these things are closer to ready. So anyways, I'd love to see something from PlayStation, but Xbox overall did a very, very good job with this. I think
I liked it, Xbox.
Yeah. And it wasn't too long either. It wasn't I don't even think it was an hour, right? It wasn't an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. Like it was
it was a tight special presentation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was your Xbox Developer Direct for January of 2025. Will we get another one this year? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you're an Xbox insider listening to Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club. If you are, hit us up in the comments. Hi, Phil. Yeah. Hit us up in the comments. Leave a comment on the YouTube video or drop a line on the Spotify video. Or, you know what? Hit us up with that Blue Sky. I officially deleted the Twitter app off my phone the other day. I wasn't really using it anymore anyways. I wonder what prompted me to finally delete the app. Anyways.
Fair enough.
Enough said about that. Samson?
Yes.
What have you been playing?
Well, it's a good question. Been getting back into this game called Smite 2.
Oh,
have you ever heard of Smite before, Jordan?
I am familiar with Smite. I am familiar with Smite 2 to a lesser extent. But tell us about Smite.
Well, so Smite is oh my gosh, like
MOBA.
This it's a MOBA, but I never played a MOBA mode.
It's
basically a MOBA in third person before it was cool.
Yeah.
Where you play as a god, a mythological god from one of the in the game they're called Pantheon, so like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Chinese, Japanese, like all over the world. Middle Eastern, that kind of stuff.
I had no idea that was the case. That's actually really cool.
Really? Let me pitch this better. So it is a MOBA. You play as one of those gods. They have their kits, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and ultimate. Lots of items you build. So it's very much like a League of Legends kind of MOBA in that sense. But you play from behind the character. Let me try to pull up a video here. You play from behind the character instead of like a top-down isometric view.
Right.
And this game came out, or the first Smite was in beta. I want to say like 2011, 2012, maybe earlier. So I was still in school. And it was the game to play because we didn't want to be one of the kids that played League of Legends,
Those sweaty sweats.
Yeah, and we weren't even playing the MOBA mode in Smite. We were playing the arena mode and the assault mode, which is like a randomized mode. So I ended up playing this game for like over 10 years.
Okay.
Even after its release. This game has been around for a long time. It's not talked much in North America, but apparently it's huge in other parts of the world.
Okay.
And then, they announced Smite 2 about a year ago now. And it's very much an Overwatch to Overwatch 2 thing, where it's like for them, it's an engine upgrade.
Right.
And they're slowly porting the heroes over, or the gods over. There's new items. They changed the way a couple of the systems work. But it is, an open beta. So it's like very incomplete. So I played a bit of Smite 2, just trying it out, seeing what's new. It does feel fresh. It does look a lot better, feel a lot better to play. And yeah, we've just been enjoying that on and off. Lots of balance, stuff like that, but we never took this game competitively anyways. So it's kind of like comfort food, and they came out with a new flavor of Doritos. Now you're like, oh yeah, this is nice. So I'm going to keep playing it.
Okay.
So Smite 2, playing that. And then also today, I just finished something called a cube, where it's like a Pokemon set of cards that you choose, and you can draft with them with friends.
Okay.
That will have to be tested in the future, so I'll come back to that. So a little tease for everybody.
All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, Smite. I don't know if I've ever actually looked up gameplay. That looked pretty cool, honestly. I'm
oh my gosh, yeah,
down with the sickness. So
down with the sickness. That's me. That's why Jordan's hosting today. In case anybody didn't know, something's coming on. Not yet, and hopefully nothing. But hopefully not. But I believe one thing they were doing with Smite 2 as well is like properly implementing crossplay. It's going to be on PlayStation. It is already.
I did notice it says
PlayStation. Yeah.
At the end
and Xbox and all those. So I think they're doing that properly this time.
Nice.
And yeah, it should. If you ever want to try it, Jordan, let me know. Audience, Absolutely. If you ever want to try it, let me know. We're always down to clown in Smite. Super chill. Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff.
What about you? Yeah. Well, what games have you been playing?
Well, I mean, I mentioned it before. I think the only game I've really been playing is Metaphor. I did have to take a little bit of time away from the games, had some family visiting and things like that. Family visiting, holiday parties that didn't happen last year, so it carried over to this year. And wore my new Sum 41 shirt because I went and saw Sum 41 on their farewell tour here in Edmonton. So,
wow.
Yeah, that
is cool.
That was a lot of fun. But haven't been playing too much, and when I have been, it's Metaphor all the way. I'm really trying to stick through with Metaphor before something that really pulls me in comes out, kind of thing. I've mentioned before, I do tend to see a game through, especially longer ones, just because they will occupy me for months at a time, because that amount of time that is required, I'm not one to burn through that. So, anyways, I'm enjoying Metaphor. It's got its hooks in me. Like, I'm thinking about it a lot of the time, and thinking about optimizing who's being which archetype and things like that. It is a challenging game, I'm finding, and I do wonder if I'm just more lazy than I used to be. But I'm having fun with it. But it hasn't super grabbed me. I don't feel this connection to the characters like I did when I played Persona 4 Golden. So we'll see at I think I'm at about 20 hours now. So we'll see at 40 hours how I feel. 60 hours, 80 hours. Maybe we'll have a monthly Metaphor check-in and see how I'm doing.
It will take you a year to beat. You think?
It just might. So
is it like 100 hours kind of game? Or?
Oh yeah. I think there's a few people that say you can beat it in around 60 if you kind of want to mainline and stuff like that. Wow. But I do think that's part of the draw of these games is not necessarily to play it fully, but it's to develop the relationships, right? It really is about those interactions with the characters, getting to know the characters and build a bond with them, which, yes, is an actual mechanic in the game, but you also, through building that bond with them in the game, you get to know their story and they get to know you. And, coming out of Persona 4 and 5 and 3, I think pretty well anyone will tell you, you almost feel a sense of loss at the end of those games because your journey with those characters is over. And I know it sounds funny, but when I finished Persona 4 Golden and, you're so happy and excited that you're done and the credits roll and then there's this emptiness and you're like, I'm never going to see my friends again. And to this day, there's after you beat the game, credits roll and it shows you this kind of just like an image of the main cast of characters. And I screenshotted that. And to this day, it is the wallpaper on my Vita. I turn on my Vita and what am I greeted by? I'm greeted by my old friends.
Your friends.
And I would wager most people who have a Vita, that is probably one of their home screens. If they played Persona, I guarantee it is their lock screen or whatever. So,
I mean, that's just a testament to how good the writing was and the relationship building mechanics was. Yeah, all that.
So I'm
That's
looking
cool.
forward to that, but we'll see how long it takes. So
to tearing up at the end and making it your wallpaper.
Exactly.
Cool. Love it.
Well, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of another episode of Grow Up Level Up's Gamers Club. So thanks for joining us. Of course, I was your host today, SirDrJM. You can follow me on all socials at SirDrJM. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram there, and you can follow me on Blue Sky at sirdrjm.bsky.social. That's SirDrJM. Samson, where can people find you?
You can find me on all the socials at SamsonXP. On Blue Sky, I am at smsn.bluesky.com.social. I don't want to give that up yet. I like it. I know I should change it, but I don't want to give it up yet. But at SamsonXP on anywhere you can find me. Just shoot me a message. I think everything's open. I like to chat, like to meet new people. And then at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials as well. Yeah, you can message us there as well, and you can follow there for announcements of new episodes. And if we're doing any other live streams, co-streams, make sure you're following us on all platforms at Grow Up Level Up, because that's where we will announce things.
Awesome. Now, Samson, I'll ask you a question here that we'll talk very cryptically about. Do we want to announce anything for next week's episode?
Oh,
I am ready with it if you want.
So next week, do you want to talk about next week's episode or next week's episode?
Oh no, do I have my weeks wrong?
Well, all right. So here, next week episode's going to be a little weird. Next week's episode coming out is going to be a little weird. So what happened? And you're getting Grow Up Level Up lore.
Oh yeah, we never
this far. You deserve it, right?
We never explained this. I was just going to say we just kind of recorded our episode and never mentioned that you weren't supposed to be on that episode. So.
Exactly. So shout out to the hardworking folks over in LA right now fighting the fires, still fighting the fires. What was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago was I was supposed to, or I guess this past weekend, really, I was supposed to fly down to LA this past weekend, but because of the fires, we had to cancel and reschedule our trip. So before that, Jordan was going to do a solo episode of sorts. That episode is recorded and ready to come out, and we're going to release it next week with a little reminder that some of Jordan's dates...
A couple weeks out of date.
Yeah, a couple weeks out of date. That's fine. We're cool with that. Because at this time slot where we usually record our episodes, Jordan and I have an interview with a developer of a certain video game.
Do you want me to tease or mention the game?
No, let's keep it mysterious for our listeners. So if you listen to this far, that's your treat. You get to know what's going on over the next 2 weeks. But we will have an interview with a game developer coming out February 7th. So about 2 weeks from now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, look forward to that. And by that, of course, I mean, look forward to my solo episode next week. I'm sure it'll be riveting stuff, and I have no idea what happens in it. And when I mentioned January 10th or 11th, just substitute that with 30th and 31st. And, you know, things that I talk about, like the impending Switch 2 announcement, just pretend I didn't say that, because that might date me a little bit. But and then, of course, the following week, as Samson mentioned, yes, we will be interviewing developers. So look forward to that as well. And you'll hear more about that in a couple weeks' time.
Just pretend you're time traveling next week. That's
exactly. I am adept at time travel. So with all of that said, Samson, take us out of here. Give me some words of wisdom to finish off the week.
All right. My words of wisdom is coming from the Decomposition book. 100% post-consumer waste recycled pages printed with soy ink, made in the USA.
Okay.
The Great Sphinx of Giza was built 5,000 years ago. It is 241 feet long and 66 feet high, and it is as heavy as an extremely large amount of anvils.